The finest element about humour is that it can be anything and everything. From an accidental spillage of your morning coffee, to playground insults or even an eye-squinting injury. There's laughter hidden in the smallest of disasters. It changes and evolves as we do as humans, but is this for better or for worse? There's a lot of questions to be asked as we hop down the rabbit hole of this genre, but none more apparent in today's culture than the effect of modern day sensitivities in the comedy film industry. So, sit back, relax, grab a coffee, and let's explore our cultural sensitivities in society killing comedy filmmaking. Let us throw back to when we were just little babies exiting our mother's womb into the big world.
It feels like I'm shitting a knife!
We are born with 5 universal morals that make us question what is right and what is wrong, not just in humour, but in life. These are harm and care, loyalty, respect and purity. Now what I want you to do is to pause this right here and bookmark it, as it might be nice to refer back to this later. First demonstration of this was by a small, grey-haired man named Asshole back in 4th century ancient Greece. They believed the comedy should be a reflection of society that surrounded it, and his playwrights demonstrated this absolutely perfectly. Arcanians, knights, and clouds represent what we do not want in a modern day society. Sexism, slavery, and social hierarchy is a definite no-go.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
But this, like mentioned, reflected life in that time. Jokes with no morals and respect was non-existent.
You're a woman. All female parts are played by men.
In the 1900s we agreed with one of the first and the best pioneers of comedy in cinema, Charlie Chaplin, but he took a different approach to his predecessors. Fun fact, he got most of his comedy by watching his mum observe society and people's behaviour through the window. Well, how bloody nosy. But Chaplin focused on the empathy for the little man, and continuing with a smile on his face even when he is in the gutter. This is more important when you take into the fact what America found funny in the 1800s. Blackface was at an all-time high, so the fact that Chaplin even included a sense of morals in his humour was massive. Cultural sensitivities played a huge part in the development of not just the jokes made, but whom they were aimed at. We are not laughing down, we are laughing up at the man in the high chair. This reflected a positive change that cultural sensitivities had on society in that time. The lines between jokes and insults became mixed as we draw closer to the present day. Parody cinema made its way onto the big screen. Parody comedy being jokes that are created by imitating an existing or original piece of work in order to make fun or comment on it. The huge strides made to bring cultural sensitivities to light and for an increasingly diverse audience seemed to be questioned, as certain values were now being used as a punchline.
No way!
Classics such as Blazing Saddles,
Little red devils, they love toys. May I try?
and Life of Brian
Oh, Leo, we haven't started yet.
arrived to add fuel to the fire with a controversial Little Britain
Out there.
and 4 lines arriving in the early 2000s to really get the public questioning their morals. It did leave us thinking though, what is the limit?
Not so fast!
Analysing humour is like dissecting a frog. Few people are interested and the frog dies of it. This was originally quoted by the American writer E.B. White, who was famously known for writing classic novels such as Charlotte's Web
Spider!
and Stuart Little.
Like a mouse.
Yeah, well, I am.
What is the point in criticising jokes that are just not for you? Comedy is a subjective matter. Not everyone finds the same things hilarious.
Are you serious?
That is why in the 21st century, audiences have never struggled more on where to draw the line.
Good. Okay. You all have your side, and I'll have mine.
This topic became so apparent that even comedy legends such as Rowan Atkinson and John Cleese have spoken out on the subject. Cleese quoted,
Robin Skinner said something very interesting to me. He said, if people can't control their own emotions, then they have to start trying to control other people's behaviour.
well, this works hand in hand with the huge numbers social media is producing. In fact, it's given people more of a chance to have a say on someone's life, but also their professional career. It's producing more platforms than ever to voice your opinion. And as of November 2020, well, there was half the world using social media, with 4.57 billion users. With 346 million users coming in the last 12 months. That's incredible. The rise of social media has brought in a new wave of critics from every point of view, which ultimately led to some directors being, quote-unquote, cancelled. In this case, it was James Gunn. Look, see for yourself. The tweets are hard to look at, and although he was reinstated after all these old tweets resurfaced, why is this allowed?
This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Using opinions from over 10 years ago as ammo. Look, we can tell they are disgusting. And what James is trying to use here is something we like to call disparagement humour, which is the subject creates amusement through derogation, denigration, or belittlement of whom it's aimed at. Now I know this is not everyone's cup of tea. We all grow, change and learn from our mistakes, but it is apparent that this is forgotten about, purposely or not.
Short-term memory loss. I don't believe this.
No, it's true. I forget things almost instantly. It runs in my family.
Evan Farley recognised it.
Happening now is words are changing,
suggesting that there is life cycles for every gag, and like human beings, death is inevitable. Which was explored in a study on the Flamson and Barrett theory. As you look on the screen, a graph judging jokes on their funniness depending on the severity brought us some interesting results. In conclusion, proving that social influences do bring limitations to the genre, linking us back to the Greeks' original interpretation of comedy being a mirror on society. This does spark a query of when does limitations take away the freedom of speech that we are entitled to.
And if someone gets angry because they don't want to say firefighter or police officer or chairperson, then I think they're a bit of a cunt. And they are allowed to disagree with me. And that is freedom of speech.
This is for you.
To visualise the broad question at hand, the comparison between two shows from past
and present is been made, and nothing more relevant than the revival of Spitting Image.
But the targets stayed the same, the jokes were vastly different. The 80s show went from joking about alleged and now convicted paedophiles like Jimmy Savile and his interactions with children on Jim Will Fix It,
And do. I quite like it.
to Johnson and Cummins trespassing a field.
He says they're in the wrong field, and also you ran over his cow.
Ah, I thought I felt a bump on the Bentley.
Satirising criminal offences has never went from 1 to 10 in such a fast time. And whilst most comedy comes from the rumours and stories in tabloid news articles, hinting about the causes of death of Princess Diana.
The fact is that stupid, ugly, overinflated bag has got to go.
Is a bit different from talking about the toupee on Donald Trump's head.
Boring. Show me the fun way.
Even before the show hit the TV screens, Spitting Image creators were getting accused of anti-Semitism for their display of Mark Zuckerberg, thinking that the portrayal was a personal attack. But law swiftly denied this and reassured that the show characterises everyone, regardless of their race, religion or ethnic backgrounds.
No.
Even Morgan Freeman has touched on the frequent mentions of racism.
I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it.
Simple. This outrage and unnecessary accusation showed negative cultural impacts on the shows we love, and turns out it wouldn't be the last either. Many other contemporary and past smash hit comedies are now experiencing the cultural impact. E4's biggest ever comedy, The In-Betweeners, itself didn't get impacted, but more so the actors.
You let them watch The In-Betweeners?
I wouldn't let them watch I would never let them watch The In-Betweeners. I'm supposed to be their dad, and I don't want them to see me behaving in that way.
What is interesting is James Buckley understanding and realising that the show uses predominantly adult humour, and being a role model that he is, he knows his influence and encouragement he can deliver on his own fan base and his family.
Get really deep, right up to the balls.
And do you put the balls in?
What?
I've heard you got to put the balls in, really, to make it work.
Yeah, can do.
In result, This is a positive impact of cultural sensitivities, creating an environment where people are aware of all audiences and not just one. Little Britain, however, like previously mentioned, has now run its course and it's been taken down from TV.
Why?
See, unfortunately, Little Britain suffers from what we like to call as tonal dissonance. Now, this is normally used to describe music pieces that clash, and it can be translated to comedy. See, the writers might tell a joke and want it to be shown one way, but then get it interpreted as another way, and that can leave the audience feeling totally confused. Here, for example, I'll play some notes for you. If we play a C and an F, it sounds alright, but if we include some minor notes, it sounds off. A study from the St. James School of Medicine delved deeper into this and the science behind some jokes. In fact, it seems to suggest that your prefrontal cortex is a main key factor to what you're laughing at on the screen. To be honest, you could be laughing at the actor more so than the jokes at hand, depending on the mannerisms they use and only their on-screen presence.
As you can see, yes,
Little Britain was supposed to be a microcosm on society in that time, so maybe that's not the way we want to be represented in today's culture. As we draw closer to an end, are contemporary sensitivities in society killing comedy filmmaking? The resolution is just as blurred as the boundaries of comedy for society itself. We have seen the evolution of cultural sensitivities change and redefine comedy filmmaking for the better by creating a room where everyone can have a laugh.
Every once in a while, is it turbo to want more out of life?
But do these limits take away from the freedom of speech that we are entitled to? The foundations from ancient Greece playwrights are all the same, engraved in the roots of comedies made in the present day, offering shows that make us laugh, but also self-reflect on the issues that still affect today's culture. The lack of consideration towards our growth as people has resulted in the lack of second chances for wrongdoings and surely indicates that the education provided for generations should now be queried. What we know for sure is the future of comedy does seem to be in the hands of ourselves, the critics, and the viewers, and what we find right and wrong will be known.
Audiences are not stupid. General audiences just kind of, I guess, know what they want to see.
Comedy, whether people like it or not, will have to drift away from these past generational stubborn views and move to the present day. It does beg the question though, will limiting comedy limit our development as a society? Christ, that was deep. Anyway, it's done. Aha! Lights off, please.